Hey everybody, Mr. Gibson here. I am going to give a much better intro to the subplan today shortly, but there was a slight change that I had to make on that. So what I'd like our substitute teacher to do right now is to please go ahead and write the following code in all caps on the whiteboard so that way everyone can see it. It's LVFA and then I. So LVFAI. This is the code that students are going to be using for Nearpod. I go into much more depth explaining what that is, but what you'll see in the next piece is you'll see a different code. This is the code that you want to use. Okay, so when I go in the next piece talking about which code to basically type in, this is the one that you want to use. Ignore the other one. I think it starts with an A. So thanks for your patience, guys. Enjoy the sub plan. I'll be back on Wednesday, and may the force be with you all. Okay, here's the rest of the sub plan. Go. Hi, everybody. Mr. Gibson here. Obviously, I'm out today. We're going to be using YouTube along with the software that's called Nearpod to take you guys through the lesson. I've got some announcements to make. Obviously, I would much rather be there with you guys, but you know, I can't. So this is going to be the next best thing. I hope you all had a safe and happy Halloween. For starters, our substitute teacher likely has taken roll already, and if our substitute teacher could please pass out the handouts for the students if they haven't been passed out already, and if our substitute teacher would be so kind as to write the following code on the whiteboard. It is AKDGN. This is the code that we're going to be using to go through the majority of the lesson plan today. Again, all through YouTube and through Nearpod. And I know, folks, that some of you may have used Nearpod before. Certainly, if you ever had Mr. Mitchell or Mr. Anderson, I know they've used it in their classes. And we're going to use Nearpod to look at reconstruction. Now, the first thing I want to point out to you guys is where to find the link for Nearpod, and that's on our class website. So again, if our substitute teacher could please write down on the whiteboard, all caps, AKDGN, that would be great. Folks, what I need you guys to do right now is you're going to need to take out your Chromebooks, please. And when you do take out your Chromebooks, please go ahead and log on to the class webpage. And then once you get to this point, go ahead and stop. Okay. If our substitute teacher could please pause the video, allowing students time to take out their Chromebooks. If you guys don't have a Chromebook with you, well, you should have brought it, but you know, I guess that's cool. It's actually not. You should bring your Chromebook. You can pair up with someone next to you. That's fine. Also, for this lesson, you're going to need headphones. And if you didn't bring headphones, well, we'll just have to use the sound, and hopefully it won't get too noisy because you guys are going to be watching a couple of videos. So if our substitute teacher could please pause the video at this point, allowing students to take out their Chromebooks as well as their headphones, that would be great. And then when you're ready to start, just go ahead and press play. All right, so thank you very much. You should all have your Chromebooks out. And hey, if the internet's not working, you're probably not watching this either. So hopefully the internet works though. So what I want everyone to do is click on the first link here that's labeled Office Hours, Google Hangout, YouTube live stream, and Nearpod. As you guys know, for our last chapter 10 through 13 quiz, we held some Google Hangout study sessions that worked well, and I can say that for the people that did attend those sessions, the scores were much better on the quizzes than the previous one that we took. We are going to make a bit of an audible. Instead of holding a Google Hangout for the Unit 2 test, which is next week, I'm going to be holding a YouTube live stream on Monday and on Tuesday of next week prior to the test. So the Google Hangout that was scheduled for Friday of this week is canceled, so please don't come to a Google Hangout because I won't be there. But the YouTube live stream, I'll walk you guys through when I see you again on Thursday. But what I'd like everyone to do now is to please click on the link where it says Nearpod and then Subplan. and that will bring you to this screen. I've got it open in another browser for a reason. And when you hit this screen, you'll actually see the animated part of the screen up here. Probably looks really choppy right now on YouTube. What you guys want to do is right up here, enter the PIN that our substitute teacher wrote on the board. I'm going to go ahead and copy that right now. Okay. And what you're going to do is type in that PIN here and click Next. Now it's really important in this next step when the computer starts to work. I need you guys to type in your full name because this is how I'm going to be able to give credit for the work that you guys are doing. So I'll type in mine. And if you want to put something fun, you should do that because fun's fun. And then click Send. And what that will do is that will bring you into the lesson. Now this is entirely at your pace. You're going to navigate using these blue buttons here on the side. And again, there are some videos that you're going to be watching. And there's going to be some notes that you're taking for the lecture that I'm going to conduct when I come back on Thursday. So one of the handouts that you should have been given is the Unit 2 essay prompts. There are 4 of them. One of the 4 will be the long essay that you write on your unit test, your Unit 2 test, which is next week on Wednesday, November 9th, before the Veterans Day holiday. Veterans Day, we have the 11th off on Friday, so that's why the unit test is going to be for you guys. It's going to be on Wednesday. So at this point, you want to start spending some time outlining, doing some thesis statements. If you look at our calendar, you will see that when I see you guys next Monday, we are going to be spending the entire period outlining these essays as a class. But it's always good to get a head start, and you can kind of see what questions you're going to be asked. So please hang on to those. You're going to need them. The next thing you want to progress to is we are going to be taking lecture notes on Reconstruction. Now, I'm not going to be conducting the lecture because, unfortunately, I don't have enough time. I have to finish some letters of recommendation for the Common App that are due this evening. So instead, what you guys are going to do is just using blank binder paper is you're going to take Cornell Notes the old school way like we did in Unit 1. I didn't have time to put any pre-slug notes together. So if our substitute teacher could please pause the video at this point to allow students to take out one sheet of binder paper for their notes. Okay, so we're back again. So what you guys are going to do is for some pieces, you're going to be taking notes off of the slides like you see here. And then there's going to be other pieces that you guys are actually going to be typing in on Nearpod. And again, you can kind of go through at your own pace what I'm going to show you. So again, I want to move forward, so I'm going to click here. And the first thing that I'd like everyone to do is you're going to give a personal response, just like we do in many lectures, where I just want me to give you your opinion. And based on your knowledge of the Civil War and what we talked about last week and weeks prior, do you think the southern states should be punished or pardoned by the federal government? And some of you may think they should be punished harshly. Some may think that they should be pardoned. Some may think it's a bit of both. But please go ahead and type your answer in the space that's provided here. And then once you've typed that in, just go ahead and click Send. The next one. I'd like you to come up with your own plan for Reconstruction. So this is the scenario. It's the end of the Civil War, and it's kind of the beginning of how we figure out how to rebuild American society, specifically in the South. So the period of Reconstruction, which we're going to talk about on Thursday, started at the end of the war in 1865 and continued all the way up until 1877. So given what you know about the Civil War and the condition that the country was left in when it ended, how would you repair it? We know that the high estimate says that over 700,000 people were killed in the war. And obviously the southern population and parts of the northern population were greatly affected by this. So if you'd like to work in pairs for this next piece, that's totally fine, or groups of 3 with the people around you. I'd like you to talk about and discuss and then individually answer based on this. So I want you to imagine that you're the President of the United States at this point, and it's your job to come up with a clear plan for the reconstruction of the former Confederate States. Abraham Lincoln has been assassinated, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. And I'm going to give you a series of scenarios here and problems that you got to come up with some concrete solutions for. So again, you can work on this next section in a group, but everyone needs to individually respond. Okay? So your first response, and again, everybody individually needs to respond to this, is how would you deal with the southern states that seceded from the Union? How will they be allowed to re-enter the Union? What conditions do they have to meet in order to re-enter? Will they be equal to the states that remained in the Union, or will they have to prove their loyalty in some way, shape, or form? So how are you going to deal with those southern states that left? Second scenario, and again, please type your response here and then send it when you're done. Second scenario, how will you treat the Confederate leaders, Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis, James Longstreet, etc.? Will their actions be pardoned or excused? Will they enjoy the same rights and privileges as the loyal citizens who didn't rebel against the United States? Will they be punished for having committed treason and fought against their government and their country? Will you execute them? What are you going to do with the Confederate leadership? And again, please type your response here. And lastly, how would you then address the 4 million brand new Americans, those freed slaves that were living in the former Confederate states? What rights and privileges do they have? What assistance will they be given by the North and by the government? Will the states or the federal government have the power to protect and help them? So you have to try and figure out how you're going to support all those brand new American citizens that were formerly slaves. So again, you can talk about these questions in groups, but everyone has to type individually their response and then send it using the Nearpod app. The next piece is a video. It's a video that was taken in the 1950s, and it's a video from an old game show called "I've Got a Secret." Yeah, I know, creepy title, but this is one of the last living witnesses to Abraham Lincoln's assassination. So you want to go ahead and click and watch this in your own time. And then, based on the video, in one complete sentence and in your own knowledge, write what you know about Abraham Lincoln's assassination. We're going to go over the full story. And yes, there is a conspiracy theory about it. And yes, it's pretty intriguing. And is it true? Well, we'll talk about it on Thursday. So please, again, just in one sentence, write what you know about Lincoln's assassination in this piece. Then you got another video. It's about 4 minutes long. This is Professor Eric Foner, probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest American historian that's still living today, specifically on the subject of the Civil War. And he's going to talk to you guys about the Reconstruction period. And what I'd like you to do after you watch that video is talk about what Dr. Foner identifies as the change in how Reconstruction is viewed today by American historians. Okay, he's talking about how it used to be taught, and then he's going to talk to you guys about how it's being taught now. So please go ahead and give a summary of that right here. And then, just like it says right here, you're going to take notes in the following presentation. We're going to do this the old school way. So you want to basically just copy down each of the slides that follow. And then when I see you guys on Thursday, we'll go through the complete lecture. So you can see here that it's just real simple, normal lecture slides, just like always. Again, you can go through at your own pace because that's what Nearpod allows you to do. Okay. Okay, and then this slide will end the note-taking part of class. And again, please go in your own time, but you need to make sure these are finished by the end of the period. After you finish the notes, you're going to watch one more video, a short clip from Dr. Foner. And the question I'd like you to answer after watching this clip is I'd like you to identify the historical synthesis that he makes with the events of the Reconstruction era. There's something specific that he says. And I want you to tell me what is that connection that he makes with the present day and with Reconstruction. And the last step is you're going to watch an interview that he did. It's about 20 minutes long. And the interview talks about a number of different historical synthesis that he is able to make, not just with the Reconstruction era, but with the Civil War era and what is going on right now in 2016. You're going to hear references to the Democratic primary with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. You're going to hear references to social groups and social justice groups like the Black Lives Matter movement. You're also going to hear about a number of other events that he's making connections to. So after you watch this last clip, again, it's about 20 minutes long. From here, I want you to identify at least 3 times where Dr. Foner explains a historical synthesis between the current politics of today and the events of the 19th century. And I want you to specifically try and look for those events that are related to the Civil War or the Reconstruction era. We just finished talking about the causes of the Civil War. We just finished last week talking about the Civil War itself. And you've gotten a brief introduction to what the Reconstruction era is. So your answer, and it should be in paragraph form in this space, you need to be able to explain these connections thoroughly and identify a grand total of 6 pieces of evidence or historical phenomena, 3 from today and then 3 from the 19th century. And again, use the space below to identify at least 3 times that Dr. Foner explains a historical synthesis between what's going on today and what happened in the 19th century. And if there's still time at the end of the period, you've finished all of the answers here to the questions and watched all the videos, etc., you can spend the rest of the period going and starting to, or I should say, beginning to outline your Unit 2 essays. So thanks, folks, for listening. And if our substitute teacher would please let the students work through at their own pace. Again, if you do not have a Chromebook, please go ahead and share with somebody. And that's it. And if there's any questions that anybody has, anything pressing, please let me know. I'll be at home, and I should have my computer up at least a part of the time. So good luck, everybody. Thank you to our substitute teacher for taking you guys through the lesson plan. I will see you all on Thursday. If you want to see me, I'll be back for sure on Wednesday. And so go ahead and swing by. And as always, may the force be with you all.